Good evening, guys. My name is Azubike Jidaka, the founder of this platform. And like I said a few hours earlier, that we're going to be having career diaries. And who are we going to be featuring? The one, the only Peter Odemwingie. This is the first episode of this particular segment. And we'll be diving into the careers of some of your favorite Nigerian players from yesteryear. Just going into what they are into, what they've been into in the last few days and last few years, and just talk about their careers generally. So without much further ado, Peter has been online for the last 10 minutes. We even had a conversation before I came on, and I'm going to send him a request. So we'll start this conversation. Like I said, today's conversation is we're talking about the career of Peter Odemwingie, what his career in the past, and what he's been up to now. And I hope everybody's doing all right wherever you're watching this broadcast from. Over here in Abuja, it's nice weather, nice weather and all. And we have our today's guest, Mr. Peter Odemwingie. Peter, good evening.
Good evening, Azubike. Good evening,
yes.
guys. Good evening, all who are already online. 28 people, right?
Yeah, nice. For the moment, it's going to increase over time because of who you are actually.
Okay, nice. Nice to join you guys.
All right, Peter, how have you been? How's family? How's UK?
Everything is good, thank you. Obviously, I miss football, miss playing for Nigeria, but our careers, they are not as long as a golfing career. So I chose a new path to remain a sportsman. I found a talent, worked hard in my game, and now I'm a professional golfer as well. I'm hoping one day to represent and fly the green, white, green on a different pitch.
Okay, but at the moment you seem to be having an English nationality playing PGA so far. Is that possibility that you might change it over time or something like that?
No, because I'm British now, so it's just normal. But if I'm to play on international level, I will be representing obviously either Nigeria or Russia. But I'm British now, so yes. My kids, it's up to them to choose. But when it comes to international sportsmanship, I think motherland and fatherland comes first for me.
All right. Have any of them taken interest in golf like you have?
Sorry, the kids.
Yeah, the kids.
Yes. We go to practice sometimes. My younger son, who is only 10, Theo, he is keen on football, so I think he will have a future. The older one is not into football. He did a bit of goalkeeping, but I'm not giving up hope on him because he's going to be very tall from the looks of it. He's a good cricketer. He plays cricket very well. He's a fast bowler. So you never know. That might represent Nigeria in another sport. And my daughter is very sporty as well. Does a bit of gymnastics. Very sporty. I think when tennis or golf, one sport or the other, I'm sure they will consider representing my fatherland.
All right, no problem. Now let's dive into your career now. You obviously have a mixed background. Your mom is Russian, your dad is Nigerian.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in a diverse cultures as a kid?
Football was something that we always say unites people, nations. Now we're watching the European Cup. A few months ago it was African Nations Cup. So I had a group of West Brom fans travel to Ivory Coast, to Cote d'Ivoire. They were asking for me to put them in touch with a few people over there. So there was a group of West Brom fans carrying Nigerian flag because Semi Ajayi is their player. So he was there. They went to support him, watch him, and enjoy a African Nations Cup. And they came back very happy and had a great experience. So football has always been something that united people. And in Russia it was the same. I was very occupied with football from day one. Russia has lots of good players, as you know yourself. They won the Olympic Games once in 1980. Similar history with Nigeria. So very footballing nation, all of USSR, not just Russia itself. So football has always been something that brought me together with different nationalities. And Russia also is so big. Soviet Union. I was born in Uzbekistan, and I remember my dad welcoming Nigerian national team when they played a friendly game against Uzbekistan. and I remember he was very excited then to be there during the time they visited, and that was one of my motivations. Obviously, after that game, I used to watch tapes all the time, tapes of Nigerian national team. So something like you do, you put the old videos, and I used to rewatch so many of those, and kept me motivated to be able to one day play for Nigeria. So yeah, football has always been on the cards for me, even in Russia, and I'm really pleased today to call myself Nigerian international.
Okay. At this point, you came back to Nigeria during your formative years, and you ended up playing for Bendel Insurance. Now, the NPFL gets a lot of flack these days for not producing quality players, and to some extent, not even producing quality coaches in some quarters. What was it like playing in the NPFL back in the early 2000s?
I'm very young in the heart till today, very young in the mind. And when I arrived Benin City that time, I was 17. I saw Pius Ikedia, Julius Agawa every day in training. They were fantastic players. These are guys I was learning from. You know, we had Harrison Omuko, we had Chico, our captain. We had Augustine Guavon, who was my GM, general manager of Bendel Insurance then. We had a good coach, Solomon Ogbedi, you know, so there were a lot of people to learn from. There was Chukudin Wogu as well, was playing for the under-17 national team that time. So things like this used to make me so excited about football. So, and I saw those guys on regular basis every day. So Karim Mushaibu that time, he went with the Eaglets to a World Cup. He came back with the kit. You know, those are things that provoke me to work hard. So I saw international people in front of me on daily basis. And we all remember how great Pius Ikedia was of a player.
Yeah.
So how he takes people on. So Julius himself was a clinical striker, very motivated. So I kind of had the first-hand experience to see their first steps in football. And it was in Ogbe Stadium in Nigerian League. So that's why I said, you know, if these guys started here, became international, and went on to Europe to have careers. So I followed that path, and I always advise people, don't expect things to just fall on your table. And I tell people, some don't believe that I played in the Nigerian League. I traveled by road to Maiduguri, to all these spots from the furthest point in the north to you know, to Port Harcourt and all those games. I played Nigerian League, remember it well, scoring an amazing goal in Akure against Sunshine of Akure. So I've done it all. I did Pepsi Academy in Kaduna. I played in AS Racing of Mr. Ibru in Lagos. So I know all the corners of the ghettos and the elite level in Nigeria. I played the Nations Cup in Ajegule, so a lot of people won't know this, but I've touched all sports in Nigeria.
Wow. Okay, and with your performance in the NPFL, you were among the standby list for the 2002 World Cup. After that, many people didn't know that you actually played in the game against Kenya before we traveled to Korea. Or should I say before we traveled to our friendlies in Europe and all of that.
To Scotland, yeah.
But for many people, you made your first impression on many Nigerians when you scored that penalty against Angola at the Ogbe Stadium. What was it like, being like you were a local boy, you're very left for La Louvière at this point, you're a local boy who was playing in your home ground, and then was there any pressure before you took that penalty and took that responsibility?
There was pressure. At the same time, there was confidence because I'm playing at home. I'm a Benin boy. You know, Ogbe Stadium was a place I played Nigerian League many games. So actually, you just reminded me, my first ever goal for Nigeria was in Ogbe Stadium.
Yeah.
I think you can't make this up. This is amazing, actually. I forget about this often. And putting on a shirt for Nigeria and scoring in a qualifier is amazing because my falling in love with football happened in that stadium because my father was a doctor of Bendel Insurance when I was a little boy. And I remember watching Nigerian League games then there. And that's when I told my dad I want to be a footballer. So then many years after scoring for Nigeria in that stadium, it's amazing. So it's something I forgot. You just reminded me and just made me feel really pleased with that fact. My first ever international goal for Nigeria came in Ogbe Stadium.
Thank you. And after that experience, you were also in that La Louvière team. We had Manasseh Ishaku and Ode Thompson in that squad.
Yes.
That team was not expected to go far in the Belgian Cup, but you guys went all the way and won it. What was your experience like in La Louvière?
I was brilliant. First of all, wearing green and white colors. My first club in Europe. So in the first season, we won the cup, and in the final, Ishaku showed what Nigerian boys can do. In a moment, we seize the opportunities we have. We are known for that, So he was the star man of that day. On the road to the final, I scored a few important goals for La Louvière. We had a good coach, who was very welcoming to African players, young players. So he gave me the opportunity. Ariel Jacobs was his name. And so obviously I'm grateful for him for that chance to start my career in Belgium after being not given a contract in Anderlecht. And that's where I met Ode Thompson first, So having them around in my first year in Belgium was good, So they're my brothers. Thompson was a big brother playing for Anderlecht, big player. So they helped, obviously. There was George Weah, Ghanaian international, playing our right back as well. Made few friends, Michael Klikowski, till today we're very close friends.
Nice.
We had a Moroccan player, we had a Brazilian player, so it was quite a mixed squad. Thierry Sique, we had Macho, the captain, and Frederic Tillman was our striker with grey hair. So, in the first steps, when you have people to learn from, and see them hungry for football, it pushes you well. So lots of good memories in Belgium. Babayaro Celestin was in Anderlecht. So when I was doing my trials, a lot of people remembered Celestin there as well. So that's why, I'm always grateful for Nigerian football, because anywhere I went, I already was respected just because I'm a Nigerian footballer. So the legacy is always there, and I could just feed off it. And Stephen Keshi as well, and the legend. So there was a lot to benefit from what our players have done in the past.
Okay. After La Louvière, you were called up for the Nations Cup. I want to believe you went to that Nations Cup thinking, okay, maybe you will be an impact player, maybe one or two games here, considering the strikers we had in that team. But did you feel, or did you anticipate at any point that you will make quite an impact against South Africa in the very second game?
No, I was so surprised to be called to go on the pitch, and I was so worried that I didn't even know we were leading 2-0. So it was 1-0, and they said go warm up. So then JJ we got a penalty.
Yeah.
But when they already said to me, go warm up, so you're going on. So I went, and I was like, wow, this is happening. My first Nations Cup game, and I was just focused on my warm up. I'd even missed that it was already 2-0. Because at 2-0, you can relax and play football, because it's basically a job done. So in my head, I'm going on the pitch, and it's still 1-0. Only when I scored, I look up, I'm like, how is it 3? I missed something here. So I didn't even know we scored a goal. So I remember that moment like yesterday. I was worried, obviously. The heartbeat was going faster than ever. But of course, it's excitement going on the pitch with the likes of Kanu, JJ, Yobo, Isaac Okoronko, and all the great players we had, Ifeanyi Udeze. So you feed off them, you go into the pitch knowing there are star players here. So that's how a young boy went on the pitch. John Utaka, we had great players. So always, whenever I play, I know that if I can do the job, somebody else will do it. So that used to take off the pressure often off me when senior men are on the pitch. So you'll be all right. They'll look after you.
Yeah.
Trust them. Yeah.
Okay. What in your opinion was the hardest?
Georgie Abbey is here too, yes.
George, right? George is like, wow, nice.
Yes, he's here. Yes, and Georgie too, solid right back, no nonsense, clear anything out of his way.
Now, speaking of George, I remember when I had a conversation with him sometime in early January. I asked him about you guys' relationship. Did you guys just hit it off the moment you were in camp, or it was something that built up over time or something?
No, it's you know, when you join the Super Eagles camp, you feel away right away like a family. You know, some of us were making our first steps, and we know we have a future together. You know,
Yeah.
so we don't see it as a one-off. You know, so if we made it to a Nations Cup, means you will be around for a while. So yeah, we enjoy it. I've never been in a Nigerian camp where people are not happy. So it's always a bubbling camp. People are happy to be selected because there are so many players that missed out on the Nations Cup list that you just happy to be there. You know, I didn't expect to play much because there were about 4 people ahead of me, more experienced on international level. But when the chance came, I took it, I would say. Unfortunately, in the same Nations Cup, missing a penalty. You know, but I had all the support. You know, I had all the support, and people understood that. You know, it was not you know, something easily to handle. The
Yeah.
pressure of the moment, full stadium of Tunisian fans. My first one of like a semi-final in Nations Cup. So that was a bit of a disappointing moment personally. Some days I look back, I said, had we wished we won that Nations Cup, that would have been such a big thing to happen on the first ever one. But you know, we're the giants of Africa still, and all members of the family till today. Even we're not there, but nobody knows tomorrow. You know, players come back as coaches and do great stuff for the country as well. So that could be my case as well.
All right. Can we say that game against Tunisia was kind of like the most difficult game you played in that tournament?
Yes, definitely, because it's playing against the hosts. They had a very, you know, powerful support from their fans. Speaking to some of their ex-players, they said the stadium was already full hours before the game. And when we arrived the stadium on the bus, you can sense it that there is so much energy in the air, like there is so much anticipation from the host nation, and they know, they are aware they're playing against a big African club, African team. So you know, but yeah, as I said again, you know, looking around, you see solid players around you. You know, the starting lineup, we had Garbalawa, we had Utaka, we had JJ, we had Kanu, so Vincent and Yema. So you just go in there as one of the younger ones, making your first steps, but your confidence, you have the wings of the eagles around you. So yeah, I still had do my best. You know, every time I had a chance to play for Nigeria, all I ask from myself, just, you know, don't leave anything out there. Just give all your energy, play. You know, you have quality. Just, you know, try your best. And JJ used to say something those days that helped. He said, "There's no such thing as a bad day. If you put body, no such thing as a bad day. Just make an effort, and you know something will come off because we all have skills as players, Nigerian players. That if you just make an effort, something will come off it."
Okay. Speaking of JJ, you guys kind of like had the chemistry on the pitch. The goals you scored, like 3 of the goals you scored, you assisted for like 2 of them. These moves, were they like practice during training, or it just happened on the moment?
No, I think it's part of my skill as a forward player. You know, you make yourself available. This is what we call the call for ball. So the first one, I know he can switch play very well. So soon as they were passing JJ the ball, I'm going a bit wider to create space for myself between me and the left back, knowing that
Yeah.
he can ping it very well. Like himself, Paul Scholes, these kind of players, they are one of the best in the world that can just switch play at any moment. You know, he had the skill to control the ball very well on the first touch, and then he gives a nice pass. You could see a player. So it's not something we practice, but it's something we know. As soon as JJ has the ball, you as a forward player, you can start making the run. He will see it and he will put it where you want. So he put a perfect ball for me exactly where I needed it, at the same trajectory that I needed it, so that I have time enough to control it before the defender comes at you. So, of course, I will remember my first Nations Cup goal from my assist of JJ Okocha. That's something special. Second one was from John Utaka after an amazing sprint, you know, and I scored the second goal with my right foot, and the first one with the left foot. And we always joke with remembering when we were in the World Cup in Japan, Korea, when hi Vixie, when Taribo West said this joke. He said, "This Oyinbo, which leg in they use?" He said because we were doing some practice in training. I used to shoot with left, shoot with right, so he didn't know how to mark me. So it's like this boy said, "Which leg in they use?" So, and that credit is to my dad, because as a young player at a quite young age, my dad emphasized saying he likes players who can play with both feet. So, and then no surprise, on my first ever Nations Cup appearance, I scored 2 goals, one with the right, one with the left. So all credit to my dad. Hi, Camila.
All right. That performance at the AFCON kept you in the hearts of so many Nigerians over the years. I also got you moved to Lille, Oslo. No, sorry, Lille in France.
Yes.
Now, define your experience in Lille, because personally, I feel your second season you were like the form of your life. You had 15 goals in the league. You scored a hat trick against Lens in the derby and all of that. Describe your time in Lille. What was your experience like?
When we talk about Lille, we talk about Claude Puel, one of the coaches that led by example. So he was first in the training ground and last to leave. He will be in the gym nearly every morning, so keeping fit. Sometimes we play 5v5, 7v7, and sometimes, he will play with us, and it will be very competitive. So I remember working really, really hard. The pre-seasons were the hardest I've ever had. With no coach, was the pre-season as hard as with Claude Puel. 3 sessions a day. During the winter break, he takes us to the mountains for lots of running, bicycle rides in high altitude. So we get fitter. And he's a coach who stands on the sidelines nearly all the games saying, "Ale, ale," like keep going, keep going. So most strikers will be substituted on the 78th, 75th minute because we had nothing more to, like, no energy anymore, because he asked a lot from us, you know. So with the little budget they had, we played Champions League football just based on that attitude of his as a coach. So a lot to learn from. And people remember me from Belgium. I will have 5 scoring chances and I'll score probably 1 or 2. And all of a sudden they're watching me in French league that's higher level, scoring goals like bang, bang, bang. And they asked me, "Man, what happened with you? How you just change overnight?" I said, "This coach, he leaves me behind after training every time. Work on your finishing, work on your finishing." So he polished me and turned me into a striker, you know, because he signed me as a winger. And in 3 years' time, I never played any other position than a striker for Claude Puel. So we had Kabai, Bodmer, Debussy. We had such an amazing team. Kader Keita, Jean Makoun, Tony Silva. So we had African players there, you know, as well. So all these things, was exciting because we follow each other's career in national team. When they went to play for Senegal, Cameroon, we always had something to talk about in the restaurant when they come back from camp. So it's all these things add up to have like a strong spirit as a team. So there were a few players, Kevin Miralas from Belgium, young boy. Then Eden Hazard was in the Fidesz team. So, and coming back from Belgium, it was good to have a Belgian boy around, you know, with who was promising to have a great career as well. So all round, amazing experience in France. Obviously, Arabia Afolabi was in France then, Wilson Oruma. A few Nigerians were there. Sometimes you look forward to seeing them face to face. John Utaka was starring for Lens, which is just a derby. So when I scored 3 against Lens, you know, it was always good to score in that derby. So and I knew I had to catch up with Johnny's level because Utaka was playing in Champions League with Lens very well. So I was doing my best to make sure I'm not left behind. So all these things, we feed off each other and we get the motivation we need to make our own names.
All right. Speaking of Champions League, you found yourself scoring in the Champions League against Anderlecht and against Milan. I used to read then you were a Milan fan, and I think I saw an interview where you said you had, was it Pirlo shirt or Seedorf shirt?
Yes, yes. So I still have Clarence Seedorf shirt. He's a great player. Won Champions League with 4 different teams. No other
Yeah.
player I think has done that. So growing up, I watched a lot of AC Milan games because in that time they used to show Serie A lot. When George Weah became the first African player to win Ballon d'Or, scoring those fantastic goals from box to box, running by himself. Um, Ruth Gullit, all these guys. Because I
Yeah.
was a person of color back in my youth days, a lot of people used to ask me, "Are you from Holland? Are you Ruth Gullit's relative or Rijkaard?" You know, all the guys that played for AC Milan. So that's when my feeling towards Milan started to grow. I watched them, that the Franco Baresi, the captain. I used to watch a lot of AC Milan games, and kind of that team stuck with me. I like the colors, the way they played football. You know, I seen Taiwo play for Milan after, so Taribo West, so like Nigerians in there as well. So it was great to score against them, although, you know, I like the team, but to play in San Siro was a dream come true for myself. And we won 2-0, and that's a game that every Lille fan remembers still today. They always, even Claude Puel a few years ago sent me a reminder on text saying, "Remember this day?" So they were sharing it on the Lille's Twitter page. So I'm like, what a day, like unbelievable to beat AC Milan then 2-0 with a young squad. It was like unbelievable. So yeah, great memories there.
All right.
Big, yeah,
Now the Super Eagles.
yeah. Bros is here, Yakubu. uh, there's no way I'm not mentioning you if we talk Niger football. Our legend,
Who is that?
100 goals in Premier League is serious fit.
Okay. Now regarding your time in Lille, you left Lille. Your next move was actually Russia. Now, many people were confused. I personally was confused. I was like, this guy should be go to maybe England or Spain or Italy, that kind of thing. But he ended up going to Russia, Lokomotiv Moscow. Why Russia?
So that summer, I felt a time for a move has come. I felt I needed a change. You know, it's an emotion. It was an emotional decision a little bit. So there was a very strong interest. They flew over for discussions from IS Roma. They wanted me to pair up with Francesco Totti to play up front with him, and that sounded really good to me. There was Werder Bremen when they were losing closer to Bayern Munich. Their director was in touch. They wanted me to pair up with Diego, the Brazilian guy who could pass the ball. They knew I would score lots of goals. So there were a few big teams then from Lille, my Lille days, and at the same time, Spartak Moscow and Lokomotiv were there. But for me, growing up in Russia, for me those names they sound big because you know if you are a British boy, for you Liverpool, Arsenal is big. So growing up and being in Moscow in CSK Academy that time, when we speak about playing for Spartak or for Lokomotiv or CSK, that's massive. That's big for us, you know. So then they just made it fast. They arrived on my birthday, 15th of July. They flew on a private
Wow.
jet home, the owners, and they said, we have a big project here. We want to get into Europe and do like big things. And I thought, you know, going back home, my classmates, family, my mom was there, and I left home quite early. So it was like a quick decision I had to make. And they agreed with Lille the same day. It was on my birthday. So they said, "Happy birthday then. We've agreed with Lille. We'll see you in Moscow." I said, "Okay, I will go with this move." I don't regret it because as a person, it's important as well for me to connect with the motherland as an adult. You know, it's an investment into my future because today I'm well known
Yeah.
in Russia. I've done a lot of press in Russia. Like, you know, last week I was speaking with people from Match TV. So it's motherland. You know, that's why it was a step back as a footballer, but it was an emotional decision that I don't regret till today. So and I knew I was coming back to Europe after that again, you know, and I was honest about it to Lokomotiv fans. That's why I left. When I left, there was this drama with the banner from Lokomotiv fans
Yeah.
because when I arrived, I said I'm not here for to stay. I am here because I love, Russia, Moscow, motherland. But I'm looking to go back to Europe. And then West Bromwich Albion came to fulfill my dream of Premier League and the demand of Nigerian fans as well, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Looking back now, I think it was a well thought move, actually, considering that you were always thinking about life after the game.
Yes.
Now, let's come back to the Super Eagles. The current Super Eagles team are struggling at the moment to qualify from their group. Their chances of qualifying looks bleak. It kind of like has shades of 2005. We went to qualify for 2006 World Cup. What do you think was the reason why that talented squad, bunch of players, couldn't go to Germany?
I think it was just one mistake at home, really. Let me just get this light on. I think it was, we with Nigeria, we sometimes make it hard for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
It's not the first time. Even when we went to South Africa, it was a bit hard. We leave things last minute sometimes. Sometimes if you underrate opponents during, maybe it's not underrate them. We are always the big team, and you can see today England match yesterday against Switzerland. The smaller teams have gone to a next step. Like most people were saying, how great this last African Cup of Nations was, is because the smaller teams have stepped up their game, and I think that was the period where Angolans were growing, their football was growing, and they took their chance, really, and they surprised us how tough opponents they were, both away and at home. So just that slip up cost us the World Cup, and of course it was unfortunate, but it was signs that African football is changing, and you cannot just think Nigeria will always, or Nigeria will dominate always in the continent. So that was when you can see the progress of other African teams was growing. So at some point, we're going to knock on the door of World Cup glory. So, and those were probably the first steps when changes were coming to African football.
Okay, let's forget that experience now. The 2008 Nations Cup, that squad was also as talented, gifted, because many of you were already established at your club sites, playing regularly in Champions League, playing regularly for your clubs. But when you played well in the friendlies, but somehow when we got to Ghana, the team was struggling to score goals, struggling to win games convincingly. What was the issues? Was there an issue in camp? Was there an issue in the build-up? Or what was the issue with the team that they struggled at in Ghana?
I don't think we struggled, really. There were a few games that we felt like when Mikel scored with the head, it was against Benin, I think. So it was hard.
That was Benin Republic.
Benin Republic. So the smaller teams, they just so motivated to play against Nigeria that sometimes we need a reminder that any team that has a chance to beat us or draw, they will do everything they can. So it's not like you underrate the opponent, but you don't expect the fight they sometimes gave us. But I think that Nations Cup we've done really well. We were unlucky with Ghana, I think, with 10 men to concede when we were trying to score, and then we got caught on a counter. Mensah, I remember, fouled me when I was going one-on-one against the goalkeeper to take a red card. And I think if I went one-on-one in that moment, I think Danny Shitu was literally running to come and score a goal, because that's how we felt like we have this game in hand now. And we got caught a bit thinking 10 against 11 men, the advantage is ours, and then a bit of magic from Ghanaian players, and we lost. But I think that squad also had the chance to win the Nations Cup, as well as in Angola after that, against Ghana again. It was a set piece out from nowhere, really. A goal came. So yeah, personally, I think those squads were so strong that I say to myself, how didn't we win the Nations Cup with these strong teams, So, but it's not a question I can answer. I can only wish it was different.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the 2010. No, not 2010, but the qualifiers for the World Cup in 2010. there was this game against Tunisia. Personally, I remember it especially because I was at the back of the post. I sat at the back of the post in Abuja when you scored that goal against Tunisia. Then we were still celebrating at that point. Next thing we saw was goal. We had that Tunisia had scored. Now we felt maybe they did, like maybe they just started and without the referee blowing or something. Only to find out it was actually 1-1. Then we scored the second goal, 2-1. Then suddenly, 3 minutes to the end of the game, it was 2-2. Has there been a more explosive game, considering what was at stake, that you've played in for Nigeria?
I think that was probably the hottest game I've ever played for Nigeria, because when Eneramo scored the second goal after, Mikel put through Obina. I remember it like yesterday. He puts Obina and so forth like through. He squares the ball nicely, and then Eneramo scores. He takes his shirt off. He throws it away because we all knew how much pressure there was. And I don't know, maybe that's what made us, concede after that because of the weight. There was something about that match that we knew, like Tunisia being the African champions not long ago. Obviously, we wanted the revenge from losing in the semi-finals. There was so much at stake in that game. So we had to do a job in Kenya after that. But at the same time, it was a test of character for us. And I remember the Kenya match where Yakubu is here. It was amazing in that match. Yeah, Martins, myself, and so forth, Mikel, we worked so hard in that match to earn that ticket. And then we rely on a smaller team like Mozambique to take a point of Tunisia, and they did. So this proves to you also that, that time the change started happening in the smaller teams in African football. Yeah. You remember Zambia, all of a sudden they get into the finals. I think they played against Cote d'Ivoire. So yes, with some coaches. So it's good for African football that the teams that we expect not to give us, yes, Martin, somebody remember, scored a winning goal. Yak scored that game. There was so much happiness to qualify for after that match. And again, sometimes you lose some, you win some. In football, it's like that. So they helped us, the Mozambique team helped us slow Tunisia down, and we had to do a job with Kenya. That was also a tough match. Denis Oliège was a really tough striker. They had fit players. We all know Kenyans can run for 90 minutes like it's 5 minutes. So it was a tough one, but it's great memories for us as a team to fly back home on that aeroplane, knowing we just earned the ticket to the World Cup.
Okay, that Kenya game, can we say that was your best game for Nigeria? Because you actually had a 9/10 rate after that game.
I won't say I had a standout performance, but I remember we had to dig deep. I assisted Martins for one of his goals. Yakubu, I remember his goal on Sofo playing with all urgency. So there was a bit of urgency in that match, and obviously we were all like saying, we're not letting this slip. We're gonna have to keep going and doing our thing, So on that moment, the forwards turned up and did the great job. I think Martin's 2 goals from Oba, one from Yak. So there was a sense of urgency that game. I think people remember it not just because some of us were like pushing ourselves. It's just everybody was under tension. There was a lot of pressure, and we knew like this is it. It will slip up if again two World Cups in a row. We can't allow this to happen. And so we hopefully will see again Nigeria pulling the magic like we did that time. Maybe it's worth reminding the squad that you have to play till the last game. And George is just saying, remember details. Oh yeah, so many years ago. Oh yeah, it's cherished moments, because Yak is probably smiling now because Yak has this smile of his with his calm demeanor always, but he always knows the pressure we're playing with, but he has the calmness to take penalties the way he does. Like we watch England team taking penalties, like rolling the ball in the net. So Yakubu style. But yeah, that's why sometimes you need different type of players. Some that can handle pressure, some that can run and run. Sani Kaita, I remember being my teammate, Olympic games, many games where we needed like Olofin Janas who can run for 90 minutes non-stop. It's not necessarily their quality on the ball, but we want them to be disrupting the attack of the opponents. So lots of great memories, so many players with different qualities. In our national team. So precious times, yeah.
All right. Shaibu Amodu had delivered in his mandate in qualifying that team for that World Cup, but somehow the team struggled at the Nations Cup, and that was why he actually lost his job. But looking back, it felt like it was actually a wrong decision. Some people really have that belief, or should I say, of that school of thought. Then Ikechukwu Uche is already injured at this point. Mikel is out of the World Cup. Ikechukwu is out of the World Cup. Then that front three you guys have going on, Ikechukwu, yourself, and Obina, that front three is altered by Las Lagerberg. That World Cup tournament, what was the reason why the Spurs were crashed out in group stages? Was it a combination of so many factors, or it was just the absence of, let's say, the two key players like in Mikel and Ikechukwu Uche?
Yeah, when changes come, if you're playing games in a row, there is some understanding there. The key players are out. It affects the team, of course, but then we had a change of coaches. There was a lot of drama that some of us said we need a foreign coach, some said no. But if our FA was changing, they need to have a positive change. Lagerberg wasn't the right choice for Nigerian football at all, because we have to play football like we play football. A lot of people complain about last Nations Cup, how Nigeria played. We are not ourselves. We have to play to our strengths. Last of African Nations Cup, I was watching it. I understand what the coach is trying to do as a player. Be more organized. Like we see types of Roy Hodgson's keeping the shape, waiting patiently, and hoping for one player. But Nigeria has never been a team of one player magic or one moment magic. Nigeria has always been a team playing with flair, and where 2-3 players magic is needed. But for that, we had to have the players that can do damage in the right time, right, and lots of balls. But in this formation, it wasn't. And Lars Rahlberg came just before the World Cup, didn't know the players enough, and his mentality of football wasn't such like that. Maybe suited our team that time. He was a bit defensive. Maybe against Argentina, you want to play as a number 2, but against South Korea and others, we didn't play against Greece even as the team that would dominate in the game. So maybe it was just a wrong choice of coach for us then. But I think we still did okay. South Korea is not a pushover team. There were a few, good games there as well. And to be fair, the maximum, sometimes we expect from Nigeria team is second round and quarterfinals. We haven't broke that edge yet, so we don't want to expect so much right away. Maybe second round in Brazil, we lost to France in the second round. So one day I will hope to see us in the quarterfinals and push from there, like natural step up, not just expect us because we're such good players to win a major tournament. It doesn't happen like that. You can see it with the England team. As good as they have players every year, they come close, but they never get over the line so far.
True. Now let's go to your club. After the World Cup, you ended up signing for West Brom. Now West Brom were just newly promoted at that time. Di Matteo was the manager. Maybe felt they were going to go down that season, but they got you. Then we saw 15 goals, 9 assists, 2 player of the match, player of the month awards, and then the team finishes in 11th place in the Premier League. In your wildest dream, did you feel you would make such an impact in the Premier League and at West Brom?
No, I wouldn't think
that
so.
First season.
Yeah, my first game after 2 days in the club, scoring a winner in last minutes, it was like a suddenly moment. Like, wow, I just played my first Premier League game. We won 1-0 at home. I scored the winner. I didn't expect that start. Then next month we went away to Arsenal. We beat Arsenal 3-1. I scored a goal. We kind of played decent football as well to score 3 there. It was 3-2, sorry, 3-2. Samir Nasri, Van Persie. They had a big team, you know, Jack Wilshere. But yeah, you know, I knew I would score goals, but I never thought I would score 15 in my first season in Premier League. But you know, Nigerian boys are shining there, so it provokes me to do my own shining. So Taka like scored a few. Diak was scoring a lot. Then Oba came. Martins won the cup here for Birmingham City. So there's always one Nigerian that will push you. Say, come on, don't be left behind. Still get your own numbers, score goals.
Okay, you end up becoming a kind of like Premier League legend for the club and all of that. But at the end of the day, that period, you were at the peak of your career in the Premier League for West Brom at the same time. But then you had this face-off with the late Stephen Keshi at that point. You were no longer playing in the national team. How disappointing was it for you to see that squad win the AFCON in 2013 and you were not part of it, even though you were on form at that point?
Yeah, you know, it's we're all humans, you know, we have characters, and sometimes when there's disagreement, you know, you can't work with someone when the situation is toxic, you know. I don't really understand the moment with Keshi, but the moment with Keshi came at the background of Siasia's drama. So he judged the situation with myself according to what he heard from Siasia. But the situation with Siasia is so deep that I don't want to go into too many details, but he kind of saw what happened just before him, and he didn't want to deal with issues that will create maybe something that he didn't want to deal with. So it's late now. Stephen Keshi is not alive at the moment, but the thing is, after the World Cup in Brazil, we were quite friendly. He was calling to check on me when I was injured, because after the World Cup I had my knee injury in Stoke. He was calling me. I was surprised, like he would call and check on me. How are you doing? Like how are things? So unfortunately, he passed away early. But he had his own, you know, he had character. And in that time, you know, Siase also, when Olise laughs, saying when they needed somebody to go and disturb the officials, it's Siase they will send to rattle the officials and fight for something. So if you are the same guy standing up for the players' welfare and doing things, showing character, when you're a coach, you should accept the fact that, you know, players also have their own points of view. But with Siasi, it's a bit of a strange one. You know, we're all grown-ups. He'll be talking about hairstyle, cut your hair, do this. I think, you know, it's not kindergarten. And of course, when I joined the Olympic camp, there were some things the boys were talking about that didn't sit well with me. So I think maybe Siasia took it a bit personal because I didn't back him up to be the next Super Eagles coach when I was asked after the Olympics. And I wasn't sure, you know. I'm like, I think he has promising things for the future, but maybe he wasn't ready at that point to be the senior team coach, because the Olympic squad was great, but there was so much drama during that Olympics, how we got to the finals, that I wasn't sure I could just say, yeah, he has my backing, full backing to be the Super Eagles coach. So Ben, maybe that now came to be a stumbling block between me and him when he was the Super Eagles coach. So that drama dragged on, and when Keshi became the coach, he didn't want to deal with any unnecessary wahala, as we say. So it is what it is, you know. I wish I won the African Cup, but there are many great Nigerian players that I played along for 10 years that didn't win the Nations Cup. But it's our team. Super Eagles is our team. We won the cup. How many times now? Is it?
3 times.
Yeah, so we are leading on that. So it's still something we are part of. When the World Cup was in Russia, BBC, CNN, I was doing a lot of press in Moscow. So I'm still ripping off what the Nigerian boys are doing. And going forward, it will still be the same story. Now the Olympic Games will be played. I had an interview yesterday with BBC in the morning because of the Olympics. So even now, I'm still benefiting from whatever Nigeria is doing. So if our players doing well, Victor Osimhen is doing well, they ask me questions because he played for Lille, Nigeria. I'm still getting a bit of press and coverage if Nigerian players are doing well. So it's the family affair still continues. Although there was
Yeah,
drama, we're still together.
yeah, true, true.
Hi, Sam.
Now, many people go to end their careers in, let's say, USA, Middle East, but you ended up going to Indonesia, playing for Madura United.
Yeah.
Why Indonesia at that point?
So I was in Rotherham for 3 months in Championship to get fitness back after I was released by Stoke, and I had a calf injury, a big one, because the field was frozen during one game. It was December, and I put metal studs, and I had a big tear in my calf muscle. So I only recovered 3 months later. It was middle of April. So the season was about to finish. I didn't extend my contract with Rotherham because I knew it's a long-term injury. So when I got back fit, I said, okay, I'm available now. And that same month, Michael Essien, Carlton Cole, and few ex-Premier League players went to Indonesia. And a call comes in to me. It's like, would you want to join? So I saw it as a chance to get back playing and get fit, because it was already hard to get a contract after the knee injury, after the calf injury, and my age. I was already 36, you know. So I thought by going there, I can play a whole season and get back fit, score goals, which happened actually. And I could still squeeze a few years in football after that. But family life became my priority. I had young kids then. My daughter was only like 8 months. And I felt like I need to be at home now. My boys were like 2 and 3. And every time I see like 1 month gap, I don't see them. I wasn't feeling okay with it. So I said I'll just return back to England, and if any opening comes, I might just be around still, not far. That I wasn't gonna go play anywhere where I have to fly for many hours. So then I just made a decision saying if I don't get anything in England, I will quit football, because I wanted to be around my kids. And my young little daughter, she used to look at me like, who is this guy? She won't see me for 1 month. Then I come home, she's like frowning for me because of phone calls. Say, this guy, I know there's love here and there's closeness, but where you they disappear every time like this? So that was a wake-up call to me. I said, okay, little boss lady, I understand that look in your eyes. I stopped. I'm now at home. And since then, I've just been a full-time dad. I take them, even today, took my son for tennis competition. I'm around the kids all the time, taking them to sports events all the time. So it was a decision I made to stop playing based on the offers were not here in England anymore. And I wanted to prioritize time with the kids, because I don't think it's something you can get back if that time goes away.
All right. Now, many people after the game, they either are involved in the game actually, either as an administrator, an agent, a coach, but you decided to take another path, golf. Why golf? At least I know growing up, my idea of golf was through the likes of Tiger Woods. It was actually through the likes of Tiger Woods, actually. But you went to golf. Where did the passion actually come from?
You know, I grew up in Russia, right? So ice hockey. Sometimes we'll take a stick, the ice hockey club, yeah? We'll call it, I don't know the word in English. So the ice hockey, the racket, let's call it, and hit the ball. So that move was somewhere already in me, because as a Russian boy, I used to be a fan of ice hockey a lot. So that move of hitting a small object that's lying on the floor is something that always appealed to me. And golf is something where you shape the ball. So when we talk about Tiger Woods, we all know he can shape the shots. Like in football, David Beckham plays these shots from right to left. The Brazilian left back in Real Madrid, Roberto Carlos, he spins the ball the other way around. So when I saw in this game that there is a technique where you use the club to shape shots, it related to me to football a little bit. And there are clubs where you hit under the ball, they go over sand or water and onto the green. So there was a lot relatable to football. And all of a sudden I tried it. But I tried it just to mix with the British boys, because most of the British players play golf. So I integrate to teams because it builds a good team bonding. So Mark Hughes in Stoke, Roy Hodgson and many players used to play here. And I said, okay, let me just try, make an effort so we can bridge the gap. And then I fell in love with the game. It's a challenging game. It's not an easy game to master. And I said, Niger boy, I say, I know they carry last for this one. So now, and also in Stoke City Golf Day, there was a shot I hit. It was so embarrassing, and Sky Sports filmed it. People start to say, this is the worst golfer in the world.
Wow.
After that one, I say I go show the worst golfer in the world. So then my game started to get better, and I saw a chance I played in few events with the professionals. I said, wow, so if I do these studies, I get my golf game to that level, I could become a PGA member. So the dream was born after like a passionate moment in the game. And I thought this is a way to grow the game back home in Nigeria. Because a lot of British kids even go to America for scholarship. So if you on the sports visa, you can get a scholarship in America and get a big life, because there are golf facilities are there, and you can get to the tour through college level. So if I said there's an opportunity here to grow a generation of golfers, both in Russia and Nigeria, that can eventually make it to the tour. And it is an opportunity also creating for people for big life. You know, there are many inspiring stories, like in football, poor families, you know, Pele's story, you remember yourself.
Yeah.
In golf, you have Sevi Ballesteros, who had just one club, one few balls. He will hit it from top, run to fetch the ball on the beach, and then run back, hit it again, and you know, he became one of the golf's greatest. So I know there will be some Nigerians that will get into golf one day and say, because of you, I tried this game. And one day they will be in the Olympic Games representing Nigeria. So I would hope that will be the case, that I can inspire people to take this game. It can open doors for people, you know, later in life to get scholarships in big universities like in America, get education at the same time, get on the tour. So, and in general well-being, golf is very important for older people, so they keep moving, so we don't get big overweight. You know, you're still out there doing something. And studying a bit of psychology, a lot of the problems come from stress. Health problems come from stress.
Yes.
Golf
Yeah.
has an ability to relieve stress because you are doing
Okay.
something. You're constantly outdoors doing something and moving, and it challenges your brain. It helps with Alzheimer's. There is so many things about this game that is important. You socialize with people. And today I came across something that they said stress and overthinking is what brings depression into people. So
Yes.
the biggest cause of depression is when people are focused on the same thoughts all the time, too much. So golf is a game that can get you out to mix with people, to practice, to want to get better, and to move. So when you are moving, exercise is the most precious thing anyone can do for health. And walking is the best exercise, apparently, by doctors. Walking is the best exercise than any other thing, because it doesn't damage any joints, and it's very good for health, for metabolism, and everything else. So there's so much the game has to offer, apart from just the competition of golf itself. So that's why I said, let me just have this under the belt. That doesn't mean I will not do pundit, as I won't be like a pundit, a presenter in football, or a coach. That's the next step now. I'll be doing my UEFA badges. Some of my
Okay.
ex-teammates, they are agents. Some are in football. Some, you know, some are in different roles now. Managers in France. Few of my teammates, they are in the game of football. But I said, let me give my kids priority. I do these studies because I could do both at the same time. But at some point, I will be coming back to football, of course.
All right. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Now, I hope you know that I don't know, many Nigerians are not, should I say, golf clubs actually are quite expensive.
Yes.
I was going through Tiger Woods golf collection, golf club collection. An average golf club collection is about 300 and something thousand dollars. Now that's a lifetime savings of so many Nigerians, because it's not kind of like a popular, or should I say, a game for everybody, but it's a game for a certain class of people. So how do you, in your own capacity, or should I say not just your own capacity, but also people who are also involved in the game in Nigeria, how do you try to like encourage it being played from a young age?
Infrastructure. Obviously, the money is with the government. When they are trying to grow a sport, they invest into it. So the beginning for this is just a driving range. It's just an open land that they put the net around and they build base with synthetic grass. It's just golf base where people hitting balls into. The range balls are not as expensive. They are very cheap. And they don't go as far, so they don't go hit people's homes and stuff. So it's something called a driving range. So my hope will be that at some point Nigeria as a country in some cities will start building what we call a driving range. So where you can just practice the move and keep hitting balls. And once somebody finds the talent, they can make it. I don't see why, you have South African golfers on the elite level, and you just mentioned $300,000. That's to maybe own a golf club, but nobody needs a golf club. We're only talking about driving range. And when you get good enough on the driving range, you can then find somebody who will support you a little bit with maybe golf clubs. But second-hand golf clubs are not too expensive, so I'm going to try and do fundraising so that they can transport all these used golf clubs from here. There is a website called Golf Bidder. You can buy a cheap set of golf clubs and and ship it back home to a driving range. People can borrow it for free and just keep hitting balls. And I'm sure our country, we know our people. We will excel in anything as soon as you give an opportunity to a lot of kids out there. And that's another pathway to a big life. And that's a glorious story, I think, to see one day that somebody, from not an elite background. There are many guys on the PGA Tour in America. Abraham Ansah is a very good example. He was from a very, not very poor, but less privileged homes. This shirt I'm wearing now it's a brand that sent it to me. Actually, you see how things work. They sent me these shirts this week. It's a brand called Apeiron, right? They are doing golf clothing. So when they heard me, I completed my PGA. They sent me shirts for free just to wear. And what they do, why I decided to have them for this week, is because they, in Liverpool, they go and make golf accessible to families on low income. So low-income families, they try to make it possible for them, give them some golf clubs, golf shoes, clothes, so they can go and practice and play. And one day, maybe one of those kids might become a big golfer in the future. So, it's a coincidence. I worried today, and you're asking the golf question. So it's possible when people make an effort for the less privileged to try their luck in a sport.
To be nice to have them involved in our school sport, though.
Yes, when I started the PGA program, the PGA of America, I had a Zoom call with them. They said that I've seen you guys do a lot in China, developing the game. They said, okay, let's see when you're finished with your studies, maybe we can help you do something back home in Nigeria, because they heard my interview on BBC. So hopefully that will be the case soon.
Okay. Now, lastly, before we go, I want to talk about faith, because even Tiger Woods, as we know it, is a Buddhist. At what point did you get to like really, really take your faith seriously?
I think 2020, when the first lockdowns began, when the world plunged into what they called pandemic, having kids, and the measures that they were putting in place, didn't sit well with me in the beginning of what they were doing, like for society, for children's development. They didn't go to school at home, put the mask on, do this, do that. There were certain things I wasn't agreeing with as a father, first of all. So I had to go in prayer to God. I said, something is off here. There's a collateral damage. And now in the UK, there is a lot of problem with children underdeveloped. So when they had to socialize, when they had to learn speech, when they had to do studies properly, go to school without disruption, now there's backfiring thousands of children with depression. They said 60,000 kids are not okay, like suffering from depression. But then the parents will suffer when the children are suffering, right? So there was a lot of problems that this whole thing created, the response to it. So I was questioning a lot of things because I'm a father, first of all, you know, and they went into this vaccination things and this and that. So that time I started to say to the Lord, I said, Lord, can you lead this world? Because people are doing tissue, keep your peace with toilet papers, and the world is like, things are not all right. So I started doing more prayers, and I had few dreams of like that troubled me a little bit. I started reading the Bible more, and I understood that the spirit world can reveal things to us when there is trouble. And the world went through a turbulent time, and a lot of people had to make choices. And I made the choice to grow in my faith. And as the Bible says, you know, draw nigh to me, I draw nigh to you. So I spent a lot of time seeking answers, and the answers came. And since then, the dreams kept going. They never stopped. And the war in Ukraine, because I got so deep that I saw a vision of like, I knew a war is coming. And that was before Russia and Ukraine war started, because my mom is there, my whole Russian family is there. And I was like, wow, I just saw this. And then next month they announced the war, the invasion, and the war is starting. I can't even go see my mom now, my family. My ex-teammates called me in the middle of the night, like a bit drunk, and saying, well, these young boys, we had to send some to the war. And they're like saying my younger brother is just they're taking him out. So things were not... things today are not as they used to be in the world. There's this thing they call the Great Reset. And as they say it themselves, it comes as a tsunami, which means it's going to affect a lot of people in the world. They are talking about climate change. They're talking about, the population of the world is a bit too much. So I'm just here, you know, available for people who will be struggling, who need support in the faith. So because the Lord has given me all these things to strengthen my faith, and all I do in return is to strengthen others. Because Peter in the Bible, he was told, when you are converted, strengthen your brethren. So that's why I'm more committed to the kingdom work than ever before.
All right. Thank you, Peter. It was a wonderful conversation going through your career, going to what you're doing now, and just talking about your faith. And I just wish you all the best with your family, your new career, and do have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you
Thank you
very much. Last week in the gym, I saw a guy, a British boy, wearing this shirt. I said, where did you get this shirt from? So he got it online somewhere, like they looked original. This is my favorite shirt of all Nigerian shirts ever. So that Olympic Games is still in my heart like it's yesterday. All right, good to talk with you. Thanks everyone, Georgie, all our people, Camila.
Thank you for coming on this live.
All the people here, follow my account. I'll be doing more my own lives, so you can do a Q&A by myself.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll join that Q&A.
You are more than welcome. More than welcome.
All right. Take care.
All
good
right.
night.
Yes, good night. I greet you, my people. I greet everybody.